Hello. So today will be we have these topics that we covered last week: business strategy, e-business, e-commerce, m-commerce, and then we talk about the cloud computing. What are the different aspects of the cloud computing? And this week we will be talking about. Do you have any question?
Is that the right week?
It's a week number 10 because last week. Yeah.
Okay.
So I will do the recording for the 11 as well, and then I upload on the under the week 11. Okay. So today we will be talking about the ethics or the morals, code of ethics, and the ethical dilemma. This will be what we have covered last time. So we talk about the business strategies, strategic planning, what are the different factors that are important to consider. Then we talk about the Porter's 5 forces, which we need to consider when we are doing the analysis. New threats to the new entrants, bargaining power of the buyers. Then we talk about the suppliers, and then our users and buyers, so customers. So we try to do some analysis before we can start our business and set some goals for that particular specific business. Then we talk about the e-business, e-commerce, and the m-commerce. So these are these scenarios for the e-commerce. We have business to business, business to consumer, or consumer to consumer, or consumer to business. So depending on who is selling and who is buying, we have different scenarios to sell things online. Then we talk about the cloud computing. First of all, we see that what is a cloud computing and what do we mean by the cloud computing. So it's the delivery of different resources and services through the internet. So everything is on the internet, on the remote servers rather than on your computers. So we have different services which are available in the cloud: infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and the platform as a service. Infrastructure mean that if you talk about the AWS cloud or Azure or other cloud services, they are providing you the infrastructure. They're providing you the computers which you can configure and then use it. And if you talk about the software as a service, they are providing you some softwares. The simple example of the Office 365 that we are using to online using the Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So these are the software which has been provided you as a service. And then of course platform as a service, it's more like providing you different platform, what you can say that deployment of the entire systems, including the hardware, networking, and applications. So when we talk about a platform, is actually combination of the infrastructure and the software as well. So we also have the software, we also have the infrastructure, and then we can configure it according to our requirement, and so that we can use it. But that is something which is we can hire from the service providers. Then we also see the different benefits and the dangers. What are the last time I talked about that there is one problem with the cloud computing, and what is that? It's a single point failure. If your cloud is failed, your whole system is down. But definitely how we can mitigate those kind of risks, how we can overcome these kind of situations, we need to think about the backups, how we can restore, how much time it will take to restore those services, and so on. But this is a risk which is involved in the cloud computing. So today we will be talking about more on the ethics, morality, ethical behaviors, what are the code of conducts. So first question is, what are the ethics? Science of morals in human conduct. In simple terms, you can say that if you are doing something, you can feel that you are doing it right or not. From your inside, from the way you are living, sometimes it depends on the society as well, because different society has different moralities, they have different standards. So based on that, you can say that you feel that you are doing something wrong, or you feel that you are doing something right. So that is something which is we call it science of morals in the human conduct. Includes moral principles, rules of conduct. Some points are universal. Don't tell a lie. Don't hurt the feelings of the others. You are in whichever society you are, they are universal. But how you wear the clothes, maybe it is different in this society than the other one. That's the possibility. But there are certain standard principles which are everywhere same. Okay? Pay your taxes, don't break the law. So accept rules and standards of the human behavior. Ethics concerned with the distinction between right and wrong. So ethics mean that we are trying to understand, it comes from our inside, that are we right, doing it rightly, or are we doing something wrong? So ethics versus morality. Morality is a principles concerning the distinction between the right and wrong and good and bad behavior based on the individual judgment. That is called morality. But ethics is often is more for the group, for the society. Okay? So they are often used interchangeably, but morality is for the individual, for one person. So you can look into your inside and then you can see that what you are doing is right and wrong. But when you talk about the ethics, it is more like the general behavior in the society. Okay? So morality refers to the personal character, and a value is determined by what an individual considers to be right and wrong, and it is an individual or internal process within the human being. On the other hand, the ethics refers to the set code of conduct expected of a certain group of people, or we can simply say that society, or are determined by what a society considers to be right and wrong. Social systems, external law of the land we need to follow. So all these are considered as a part of the ethics. Ethical behavior, it's a way of life. We all have it to a greater or less extent, often is in conflict with the short-term self-interests, can be learned through experience. Have you ever noticed we talk about simple clothing of the different cultures, they have different. So that is coming, we are learning from the experience, because everybody is wearing that kind of a, what you can say, that kind of clothes, so you develop that particular specific taste. Similarly, you can talk about the foods. The food in Indian subcontinent, they are different. Food here in New Zealand, that is different. In Europe, again, you're talking about France, you're talking about Germany. They have some taste differences in their foods, and that is coming from the experience. They used to live the life like that, and because they are used to, so they accept it as a morality, accept it as an ethic. For a different place, if you go to Africa, total different type of foods, different type of clothing, different type of behaviors they have in their usual life. So we learn these from the experiences and from the society. We have different type of behaviors. We talk about delivery, how we pronounce it, utilitarianism view, deliver the greatest good to the greatest number of people. We're talking about overall the society. Individualism means that we are talking about the self-interests, okay, and advances long-term self-interest, what we want, how we can achieve. But still we need to keep in mind that are we acting in a good way or in a bad way. Moral rights view is respect and protect the fundamental rights of the people. Human rights we talk about. Justice view, treat people fairly according to the guidelines, rules and standards. Consider that a policeman stop you and then it start treating you unfairly. how you define unfairly. These are some terms which are relative. Maybe unfairly for me is different, for you is different, but there will be a one particular standard that has been defined by the society. What is meant by the unfairly? And there comes the Justice Department, the courts. You have the claim that the police person or the policeman has treated you unfairly. So you have your story, you have your narrative about that incident, what happened. And then the policeman has another one. The court decides based on the standard which has been maintained in the society. So justice view of the ethics is that it treats the people fairly according to the guidelines, rules and standards which has been set in that society. Again, the business ethics guidelines or the organization uses when the interacting with stakeholders inside and outside the organization. They exist so the organization treats employees and their other stakeholders with respect and establish positive working environment. For example, we talk about the UCOL business. We have the students, we have employees, we have lecturers, we have managers, we have other sport employees. So how we can treat them equally, how we can treat them fairly. So they have certain set of conducts, they have certain set of principles which has laid down the rules and regulations, how we can act in different situations. So those guidelines will help us to build the business ethics. The effects of ethical practices in business can benefit an organization financially. If we are treating our employees respectfully, they will not leave us, they will continue to work with us. If we are treating our students with respect, then what will happen? They will come, more people will look at the behavior and they will come and study at the UCOL because they like that particular specific principle which has been followed in the UCOL. So that will help the organization financially as well if we have set those ethical business strategies and guidelines and the best practices has been laid down. They can also help a company gain the elements it need to grow. So we find some opportunity based on our ethical culture and the environment. So business ethics, some maintain the business are more amoral. I mean, some people consider that business are amoral and ethics are irrelevant to business. The only main concern is the profit, how much profit we can make. No ethics are there in the principle. Yes, business make as much money as you can. Forget about the ethics, forget about the principles. If there's a shortage of some product in the market, then you can sell it according to your price, but then there is some government rules are there that you can't exploit the shortage or some specific situation in your interest to gain more profit. So that is one view, or some people think about like this, but other maintain business should operate with ethical boundaries. They should operate. They are operating on it, that's just another story, but they should operate with the ethical boundaries. They should not exploit the situation in which they can gain more profit. So they will try to keep that particular specific prices within a reasonable range with a reasonable margin of the profit rather than 100% profit. You buy a product in $10, you are selling in $20 or $30. That is something which is like too much profit. $10 product, you bought it, all the expenses are $10. If you are selling in 13, reasonable profit.
You know the profit of what Pfizer got? Pfizer last
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the COVID controversies, but definitely this is.
Is a good business?
So business focus on how profit is made and how much profit is made. So when how profit is made and how much it is made. So we need to consider within the ethical boundaries and so on, so that we are not making too much profit, but we are at the same time we are making some profit, so that we can say that we are doing that business in a good way. And again, the governing ethical behavior, there are different way to govern those behaviors. Laws of the land, so we have different laws, consumer protection laws, so the how we can protect the consumers from the unrealistic profits and so on. Rules and procedures, we have different rules and procedures that has been laid down in the organization. Some values which has been developed over the what you can say that over a long period of time, over the centuries in that particular specific society. Conscience within, from your inside, someone will tell you that you are doing right or wrong. But point is that are you listening to that particular specific sound from your inside? Promises, so what kind of promises the business has made to deliver to their customers, so are they fulfilling those promises? And role models, so sometimes we also have the role models, we are idealizing some personality, so we try to see that how we can what you can say that how when we idealizing some personality, we are trying to think that what that person will do in that particular specific situation, and based on that you decide that what you are going to do in that. So based on the idealization, based on the role models, every person has at least one individual who is a role model in some way. They may be a parent, teacher, coach, mentor, or some friend. Is your action what your role model would do in the same situation? So based on that you decide. But again, that is coming from within or from the society. So ethical business guidelines, again, would I want to be treated in the same way? I mean, if someone is treating me in a way that I'm giving some treatment to, or I'm managing a situation, and the other person is on the receiving end. So do you want to be on the receiving end with the same behavior? So that's what you need to think. So you need to try to switch your role. Instead of treating someone, you try to put yourself on the other side and see that what you will feel if you are treated in the same way. So what would be my mother say about this? What a society will say about if they find out what I'm doing and what I'm saying, that kind of a stuff. So what they will do about me? Okay, are they remembering me with the good names or with the good words, or rather than the bad words? So how would I feel if this was reported in front of the page, on the front page of tomorrow newspaper? So you will feel proud or you will be ashamed. So based on all these things, we try to see what is right and wrong. So ITPNZ is an IT professional network of New Zealand, a body of knowledge, and is the complete set of concept, terms, and activities that make up a professional domain. Okay. Is usually characterized by having an overreaching purpose and responsibility to benefit society as a whole. It has a code of ethics, code of practices, body of knowledge. For example, I give you an example that you are working in a hospital and you have the access to the medical records of your customers. Now, of course, when we are doing that particular specific job, starting that job, you will write down, you will sign a lot of contract. But do you read it? Most of the time, there are few people there are few people. There are few people who read. There are only few people. To be honest, there are only few people who actually read those contracts. But most of the people, majority of them, they just signed it. They got a job and all. But the point is that when you have that particular access to those critical informations, now it is of course against the law that you can't use those informations to exploit someone or to use them in favor of yourself, whether it is what you can say financially or some other way. You are not allowed to do that. Yes, what you can say that the law stop us to do that, and we have also signed that particular specific non-disclosure agreement things. We cannot disclose that particular specific data and so on. But still, if we try to think as a person, as a human being, we know that if we try to disclose that particular specimen, we try to use those informations to exploit the situation of someone else, it's a wrong. It is not right. From within our heart and mind, they will tell us. So these kind of situations are the way where we need to understand that particular of course there are some examples coming up in this particular in the slides later on, that where I will explain different scenarios that what you will do, what you need to do, is it right or wrong. So you can clearly tell from your mind that yes it is right or yes it is wrong. Set of professional membership and certifications. Okay, ITP and the code of ethics. So we have how we can guide on the ways of maintaining ethics in the workplace. So of course we have some trainings. We are looking strong ethical culture. The people who are already working in that organization, what they are doing. Are they discussing those sensitive information even within the organization to your colleague? Are you discussing them? In my opinion, you should not, because these are not the points of discussions. They have some sensitive information, different people have different situations. So why we need to discuss those things? Yes, we know, and we should keep them buried in our heart and mind. Whistleblower protection. What do you mean by whistleblower? Whistleblower mean that if something is going wrong in that organization, someone comes up, someone take the courage and tell the people that this is something wrong, going wrong. So that is the whistleblower. And we need, being the organization, being the responsible society, we need to protect such people, because they have the courage, they come up and then they are telling the truth. Yes, it could hurt that organization. Yes, it could be damaging for that organization, but yet we need to protect that because there is something going wrong in the organization. But the point is, this whistleblower has identified the problem. Rather than we start persecuting that particular specific person or punishing that person, we need to take this as an opportunity and fix the problem rather than hurting that particular specific person or punishing him. Top management support. Of course, top management need to provide the support for the ethical culture and maintaining that particular specific good ethical behaviors in the organization. So 10 commandments of the computer ethics. Number 1, shall not use a computer to harm other people. No hacking, nothing. Shall not interfere with other people's computer work. We always, what my friend is doing, how it is doing, copying the things. Shall not snoop around the other people's files. Should not steal the use a computer to steal. Should not use a computer to bear false witness, and shall not copy or use software which you have not paid. Pirated softwares, don't use it. Why? Because the other persons, you can say that the big companies are making the what you can say that too much profit on them, and then they are selling on a very high prices. Yes, you can complain to the authorities, you can go to the consumer court, but yet you are not supposed to use those softwares for where if you have not paid for them. You shall not use other people's computer resources without authorization or compensation. You should have the permission to use the computer before you can use it. You shall not claim other people's intellectual property output. If someone has designed an algorithm, you should not use it first and then, oh, it's me who has done that. But that is wrong. You shall think about the social consequences of the program you are writing and or the system you are designing. So this is where we talk about the artificial intelligence. We are saying that we are making the computers and the robots more intelligent, but the point is, if we are making those robots and computer intelligence and every job goes to those computers because they can do those regular jobs very or maybe 10 times better than the human beings, so what we need to do, we need to like get rid of all the human beings and give all those jobs to these computers. So you need to think about when you are doing the programming, doing such level of programming. Although you are in the first year of the bachelor, so I don't expect that you can do that kind of a programming. But if in the future when you become expert and you are able to do that kind of a thing, then you need to think about that. You shall always use a computer in a way that ensures consideration and respects for your fellow humans. Humanity is the essence. When talk about the ethics, is a humanity. What comes from your inside, what you think is right and wrong. Ethical dilemma in a complex situation that often involves an apparent mental conflict between the moral imperatives in which to obey one would result in the transgressing the another occurs where two equally important obligations conflict. You can ethically do A or B, however you cannot do both. We can only do one thing. Whistleblower. He has signed the non-disclosure agreement, but he is looking at the processes within the organization that they are making the illegal profit or they are doing some illegal things. Now, I should follow the non-disclosure agreement or I should report that particular specific thing. That's the ethical dilemma. You have signed a contract for the non-disclosure agreement. You can't disclose the information that you get because you are inside the organization and you have some certain access to different information, but they are making, I would not say that illegal profit, they are making too much profit, for example, because sometimes it is very hard to define the illegal things. If there is no bread in the whole of the Palmerston North and one bread is selling at $1,000, yeah, okay, because nobody has the bread, so only one bread or a few bread, everybody want that bread, whoever has the money he can get it, okay, fine. So it is really difficult to define the illegal profit or something. But yes, if they are making too much profit, but you are under the non-disclosure agreement, so what you need to do? If you are disclosing, yes, you are doing the right thing. The reason is that too much profit, that should be checked. But at the same time, you are disclosing the information, so you are violating a contract that you have done, signed the act with the organization. So you are in that particular specific dilemma. Many of the ethics issues that faces IT professional involve privacy. Most of the time, we have the information. So what if your pursuit of random documents reveal company trade secrets? You're talking about the Pfizer. So company secrets, what if you later leave the company and do to work for a competitor. Because you have signed a non-disclosure agreement, you don't disclose those information when you are working there. You have those information. Because you have signed the contract, you say, okay, I can't disclose them because I have signed this contract. What after that, if you go to the other company, can you use those information to benefit the other company over this one? You should not.
You shouldn't.
Again, I'm saying you should not.
But you can't.
But in the reality, things are totally different. So, is it wrong to use that knowledge in your new job? Is it wrong? Yes, it is wrong. Would it be more wrong if you printed out those documents and take them with you? Of course. You are not relying on your memory, but you are just printed. You copy those information in your USB and taking them with you, and you have a proof as well. So you are doing more wrong. Anyway, what of the documents you read show that the company was violating the government regulations or laws? Now it becomes something which is illegal. It is violating some regulations of the law, and at this point, yes, you can go to the authorities and tell them with the proof as well. Copy the whatever that documents is, and then you can say, okay, look, this is what I know, and because I am a law-abiding citizen, so this is the information, and this is the proof that this particular company is doing the wrong thing. Here we can say that yes, we can violate that disclosure agreement, non-disclosure agreements. The reason is that they are doing illegal things. So, of course, being the responsible member of the society, is our responsibility to report any kind of a crime to the authorities. So, do you have a moral obligation to turn them in, or are you ethically bound to respect your employer's privacy? What do you think? Turn them in, report them? In my opinion, yes. Everybody can have different opinion. Would it make a difference if you signed a non-disclosure agreement when you accept the job? No, it should not, because taking too much profit or earning a lot of money without violating any law, okay, you can say that it is not ethically right, but it is not illegal. So that's why you have to obey your non-disclosure agreement. On the other hand, if that company or that organization is doing something illegal, then it is your ethical responsibility to report that. So then in this situation you can violate those. So IT and security consultants who do work for multiple companies have even more ethical issues to deal with. Conflict of interest between different companies. You have different information about the other company. Now you are also working on the other company. So you are consulting. So you need to make sure that you are not giving them the advice based on the information that you have about the other company. Okay. If you learn things about one of your client that might affect your other clients, where does your loyalty lie? So you have to be loyal to both of them rather than only one. Conflict of interest: when an individual or organization is involved in multiple interests, one of which could possibly corrupt the motivation for the act in the other. Conflict of interest would prejudice an individual's ability to perform his or her duties and take the actions or do the decisions. The entanglement of an individual's private interest with the professional obligations. All these are the conflict of interest. Employment, conflict of interest. Fred is part of a 3-person panel interviewing applications for a new position at his work. Fred's son Frank is one of the applicants. So what the Fred should do, he should remove himself from that particular panel and ask someone else to come and do the interview, and then they can decide, rather than, because he's your son, so it is ultimately, he's looking for a job and you are in a position that you can give him the favor. So it is natural with human beings that you will be in favor of him. So
So we gotta get someone else.
so you need to take that contract. Politician awards a company a contract to lay fiber optic cable through New Zealand, and the company is owned by his brother. Conflict of interest. So again, the politician should not award, or he should relieve himself from that decision and ask some other authorities to do that decision. Whatever they do, maybe they give this contract to his brother based on the reputation of the company or so on, but he should not do that. He should not do that particular specific decision. Industry project, a student does an industry project and gets feedback, perfect employee, but the owner is his friend.
This
So
happened before.
this happens with us as well, because we are placing all the students that's in the final year, we place them into industry projects. So sometimes they have the relatives working in those companies and so on. So step-by-step process to resolve the ethical issues, clarify the situation. So first of all, we need to understand, clarify the question what we want to answer, determine its relevance for the business, analyze the situation, assess the available options, and make a decision. So that is what we need to do. But my negligence could cause the deaths of a dozen customers. The first dozen is always the problem, hardest. Doctor, when they are doing some critical operations, they need to make some decisions, and not always they can save the life of the patient. So the only thing what we are expecting from them, they are doing all the analysis, they are taking all the care, and then they are making the decision with their honesty, with full honesty. And after that, we can't say anything. I mean, we can't blame them. They did their duties with all their heart, with the full honesty, with all the information they have. They make a decision. It can be wrong, it can be right. So ethical business practices, we have affects stakeholders. All the ethical businesses, they affect the stakeholders, employees, stakeholders, suppliers, clients, customers, community, because that business is running within the society, so that will also affect the community as well. So good ethics, good business. Integrity in the essence of everything successful, a win-win situation. Give you the example, if you are going to a restaurant and then they are treating you with respect, they are taking care of your meals properly, they are giving you a very excellent food. So they are trying to do their business ethically. They are providing you the services which they are supposed to give you. So what will happen at the end? You will like that restaurant, and then you will also recommend to the others. So good ethics will also produce the good business for the organization. It is time to elect world leader, and yours is the deciding vote. You are the final person to vote, and then we have a tie between the yes and no, and then who should be the leader of the world. Number 1, candidate 1, he associates with crooked politicians, consults with astrologers, he's believing on the stars and so on. He has had 2 mistresses. He also chain smoke and drinks up to the 10 martinis a day. So this is one candidate. Now let's talk about the second candidate. He was ejected from the office twice. From the work, he has been expelled twice. Sleeps until noon. Used opium in college and drinks a large amount of whiskey every evening. And now come to the third one. He is decorated war hero. He is a vegetarian, does not smoke, drinks an occasional beer, and has not had any extramarital affairs. So what do you think? Who will be?
I wonder what
See.
one.
Huh?
See.
So you want to select C?
Yeah.
Okay.
I reckon I-
Yes.
Damn.
It's an Adolf Hitler, huh?
Adolf Hitler.
Who was the cause of the 2 world wars in the world?
Oh, is that what he was? Is that? Yeah. And he was an animal lover as well.
So he was the responsible for 2 world wars in the world. So based on the ethics, if you decide in this way, huh?
We should vote for the guy that had 2 mysteries.
Yeah, we should have.
42 or 40.
Yeah.
47.
So it's 1914 to 1918, and then 1945. No,
1945.
I think 1940 to 1945. So these are the 2 world wars. He was responsible, and now we are on the brink of the 3rd World War III. I think I should stop that video before we can.